Is Arizona in the driver's seat for the most electrifying guard in the entire country?
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, again, Locked On, your team every day. All right, now we are going to talk about Ikenna Alozie in this class or on this show. We are going to talk about the point guard situation and where Arizona is in the grand scheme of things. Now, Ikenna Alozie is maybe the most electrifying guard in the entire country. He is absolutely awesome. You watch him. He's definitely not a pure point guard, but I mean, he can do it enough. But you watch him, the way that he gets to the bucket, the way that he finishes, the way that he scores. He's somebody that you can just tell will play in the NBA. He's just got a next level gear to him. He's something unique. He's something that you generally don't see come around every day. The comparison that a lot of people have made is a smaller Russell Westbrook, and I think that's an apt comparison. I think that's a comparison that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Arizona would love to get him. He is absolutely on that priority list, and there is a reason that he is on that priority list. First of all, it's because he's good. He is, like I said, he's just an electrifying talent. He can just do a lot of different things. And I think what's exciting about him, too, is that, like I said, Arizona's been in on him early. Now, there's going to be other schools like Kansas and Houston and whatnot, but Arizona has a very good relationship with him. Again, I'm not breaking any news. TJ Benson is a very, very well thought of name in the state. He does things the right way. You just look at how he recruited Koa Pete. A lot of people thought that Koa was going to go elsewhere. Nope, he didn't. Came to the U of A. But Alozie is the top, small guard target in the entire class. I mean, you could say, Cam Holmes, but I guess it depends on if you think that Cam Holmes is a guard or a forward or whatever the case you might think that Cam Holmes is. But Alozie is that dude, though, as the kids would say. He is awesome. And Arizona, though, is they're going to recruit him as a scoring guard, and again, I think that makes a lot of sense. He is so how would that fit in then? Because yes, he is the priority, but he's also someone that you want to let kind of do his own thing, in that you don't want to take away what he does best. And what he does best is score the basketball. He scores the basketball. He can get in the lane. He's a very good secondary handler. I don't want to make it out like he's not that, but he is, like I said, he's a very good creator, very good player that can get other people the ball, but you want him to score. It's a little bit of that Allen Iverson type situation as well. So Arizona would love nothing more than to get him. But you're also going to be looking at a couple other point guards. I think that one thing that Arizona is going to want to do, and Tommy Lloyd has shown that he's very good at this, Tommy Lloyd is going to want to add another ball or another, like a pure point guard. I would assume grad transfer type in the portal. Now, again, those guys are super, super expensive, so I don't know that you're going to get the top of the line, but I think you're going to be able to get somebody that is certainly good enough. And so you pair him with Ikenna Alozie and some of the other players that you're talking about, and at that point, then I think it's pretty much game on. But this is, like I said, this is a very good roster. This Arizona is in a good situation, and Alozie is somebody, like I said, that they prioritize for a long time. He even got an early offer, and we've talked about this on this show a million different times, how that works as far as Tommy Lloyd, not a big fan of early offers. We know that, but obviously, there are certain players that certainly fit that bill. Ikenna Alozie is definitely one of them. So again, I think he's that top guard priority in the entire class when it comes to that. But they also want to be able to put him in a situation where he can succeed, and that is like I said, that's kind of what you're looking for. I think if you're the University of Arizona, how do you put this young man in a position to succeed? And part of that is having a true point guard next to him. Now, we've talked about the grad transfer possibility. And again, when I look at the schools, I think that you're looking at I think that you're looking at Arizona, Kansas, Houston. But when we talk about the grad transfer possibilities, there's also somebody that could be waiting in the wings. But first, game time, my friends. Game time. Check it out. Game time. All right, here's the deal with game time. The NBA playoffs are here. There's been a crazy playoffs. Like I said, both teams up 2-0 right now, but at the same time, you're probably looking at a Thunder Pacers finals. Don't know that anybody had that, but there's nothing like the NBA playoffs. The intensity, the buzzer beaters, the fans losing their minds. It's the kind of atmosphere you must experience live, and this year's matchups are already delivering, as you know. Here's the cool thing. When you get a ticket on Game Time, you can see the exact ticket. You can see how it plays out, and you can actually look at it. You don't have to take somebody's word. You don't have to trust a bird's eye view or any of that stuff. You don't have to do any of that stuff. The app has made it super, super simple as well. 2 taps and you're basically done. I mean, that's how simple it is. And with the game time guarantee, you know you're getting the best deal. If you find a better price on the same row and section, they'll credit you 110% of the difference. Woohoo! Very good. Okay, so here's the deal. Take the easy guesswork out of buying Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. This is an awesome time to get in here, and this is an awesome deal from Game Time. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit about the surprise player. And this is the one that I would love to see Arizona add. If you're going to add 3 guards, I would love to see, again, the portal guy, whoever that is. But the developmental guy that I think can be a starter for you as a sophomore, and again, I have no clue if it's going to happen or not, but it's what I would do, is Mason McGee. I love Mason McGee out of Basha. He is the epitome of the steady Eddie point guard. He is like I said, he's a top 75 player in the class. Certainly not a one and done or anything like that, but a guy that, watching him, you're like, all right, yeah, I can see, what he can do. He's got a good basketball body. He's got solid athleticism, not great athleticism, but he's also a great kid. He's a good floor general. He does a lot of things out on the court that are just needed. So you watch him and you're just kind of like, yeah, like I said, that's the kind of player that I think you win a lot of games with. Arizona, I believe that if Arizona offers him, I believe Arizona would get him. It's kind of a Darius Wobbington situation where offer him, you'll get him. But I think a lot of it depends on if Tommy Lloyd wants to offer him or not. I would offer Mason McGee. Again, he's a really, really good kid. The coaching staff has known about him forever. And like I said, you watch him, you can just tell that he could be a good player. The other thing I like about it too is that I think it gives you a little bit of roster flexibility, and by that I mean, let's say you bring in a grad transfer point guard. Well, he's probably only going to be here 1 year. You bring in an Ikenna Alozie. Well, there's a good chance that he's going to be a one and done as well. I mean, he's an NBA player. That's what they look like, and so you look at those guys and you're like, all right. You don't want to have to do the same thing over again the following year, and that's where somebody like Mason McGee comes in. I think he'd be more. It's like a Evan Nelson on steroids situation where that he's going to wait his time, he's going to be okay, and then I think he'll be ready to strike at, by that time he's a sophomore. Now, again, he might play a little bit as a freshman, probably not a ton, but he might play a little bit as a freshman. But you're gearing up. He's kind of that long-term developmental play. Also, somebody that I have no clue if this will actually break Arizona's way or not, but it'd be something that would be very, very interesting for me. Would be somebody like a Jeanette, point guard that went to New Mexico. I could totally see him blowing up at New Mexico as a freshman, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he ended up back at the University of Arizona. That would be something that I think would make a lot of sense for both parties. But either way, that's just total speculation. McGee, though, is, like I said, McGee is the guy I would offer. Again, Tommy is not going to just hand out offers. He wants to, he's very picky on who he offers, and I get it, and Tommy's also got a very high success rate, Tommy basically said that here's who I want. I want Koa Pete, and I want Braden Burries, and he tasked TJ and Jack Murphy with getting both of those guys, and they were able to get both of them. So, again, it makes from Tommy Lloyd's perspective, it worked. So I think that you just kind of go from there when it comes to that. So the in-state, like I said, in-state is absolutely loaded right now. This is easily the best I've ever seen in Phoenix, and it's deep. You got a lot of guys that are going to be McDonald's All-Americans, from your Cam Williams to your Cam Holmes to your, obviously, Alozie's not indigenous to the state, but, you get the point. Bruce Branch is coming up, Darius Wobbington, players like that. This is the best, though, that I've ever seen it, and, I don't think that that's going to change anytime soon. Now, is there anything new on the small forward front? Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. Okay, now, what's the deal on the small forward front? That's going to be That's going to be one that's going to be interesting to see. Now, listen, we've talked about it before. I think Ivan is probably the leader in that clubhouse to come in and probably play some at that small forward position. But I think people, again, you're sleeping on Dwayne Aristod. If you're not thinking about Dwayne Aristod, if he's not kind of in that little memory bank, you probably should get used to thinking about Dwayne Aristod. He is a beast. Listen, I know everyone's like, how are you going to replace Carter? I get all that. Totally get it. At the end of the day, though, Dwayne Aristod is somebody that I think can be every bit as good as Carter. He's a monster athlete. He's a totally different player than Carter. Totally different player. And again, I love Carter. I think Carter's going to have a very good NBA career, great family, all of that. But like I said, he still was 6-4 this past year. I mean, you can replace that. So that's something that you've got to, you got to factor in. So you've got that, obviously. But with Carter, with Aristod, though, he's also an NBA type guy. When he was a top 10 to 15 player in the class before Arizona thought they were going to get Kamania. They obviously didn't get Kamania. So this was the next guy up on the list, and Arizona was able to do a very good job closing the deal. It wouldn't surprise me at all if he's right in there. And again, I know everybody is pooing on ADO. I like ADO. Again, he's got a role on this team. People act like he can't play basketball at all. That's just silly. But again, who knows? Maybe there's an ace in the hole, something like that with an Arizona. With an Arizona athlete, with an Arizona player that we don't necessarily know about to this point. And but again, it's going to be fine. You've already, like I said, 4 of the positions are already spoken for. Jaden Bradley is going to be your starting point guard. Solid, super good position there. And then you got Braden Burries, you got Koa Pete, you got Tobe Awaka. So it's going to be an interesting one. And then obviously Tommy loves Mo Krivas, and then you're going to have players coming off the bench as well. But again, though, wanted to talk a little bit about Ikenna Alozie. In this offseason, we're going to start featuring, players that are priority recruits for the University of Arizona. Alozie is another one of those guys. Like I said, Arizona's going to need guards. I mean, Arizona is going to have a massive turnover this coming off season. Again, another thing I'm not breaking any news on. So again, they're going to probably have to add 6-7 guys because again, you're going to be losing Jaden Bradley, probably losing Braden Burries, probably losing Koa Pete. You're definitely losing Tobe Awaka. You're definitely losing ADO. I mean, you're losing a lot of guys. So you're going to have to be able to replenish that. Who knows what, the deal with Aristod. I would assume he's a 2-year player. But Alozie would be in there. And Alozie, I don't care what anybody says, guys like Alozie start. I know the whole thing with Carter Bryant. I also think, and this is just my guess, I also think that Tommy knows that he probably should have fast-tracked Carter and played him a little bit more. I get it, though. You wanted Trey Townsend to be good. The problem with Trey Townsend, though, is that you knew very early on that he just wasn't good. And that was kind of the aspect that I think was frustrating for a lot of people, is that you could tell, yes, Carter's young. He's a young Colt. And but at the end of the day, though, you also knew that he was just a lot better, and you could tell he just needed. So again, it's not the end of the world. It's Arizona wasn't going to win the national championship anyway. It was kind of a flawed roster, but wanted to touch base on Ikenna Alozie, what the deal is. You're probably looking at 3-point guards, and I think that's the thing that is it's going to be very fascinating for a variety of people. But on that note, though, just wanted to get you a little bit update in there. Everybody have a great rest of your Saturday. And thanks for making Locked On Wildcats your first watch of the day. Locked On, your team every day.